let's get back to the topic here. Did you know there was a record broken this week, but it was just for second place? Yeah, and
Second
it was just
place.
for second place. Now, I got you thinking now, okay? And I'm gonna load the roster now for the LA Clippers. Gonna bring up this man. His name is James Harden, the Beard, and he is now
Oh, he
the
broke
second
second. Yep.
second greatest three-point shooter in NBA history behind Steph Curry. And maybe one part of the whole situation is that no one cares if you come second, right? No one remembers if you get a silver medal, really. Who won gold, right? And Steph Curry is by far light years ahead of where Harden is and every other shooter that has ever been in the league to date. Okay, but Harden now has surpassed Ray Allen for second place in the NBA history for made threes. Yeah. Okay. Now my question is, why do we not care? And is it more importantly, do we just not like James Harden? Is that what it is? And then maybe here's a third part to this question: why don't we like James Harden? Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah,
much to
yeah,
unpack here.
yeah. I like it. There you go. You're thinking now because like it feels like this should be a real celebrated achievement. But really, honestly, when I saw it, I was like, man, James Harden. I don't care. I don't even like this guy. What the hell? Why is he still in the league? I don't know, man.
I
But he's
think
still balling. Yeah, he's still balling.
I think he made a comment basically saying that he viewed himself as first, and he was being completely joking, by the way. He knew what he was talking about, but he was like, "I'm basically first because the other guys like doesn't like it's just he's different," and that was a nice little compliment because when you do look at the records, like yeah, he just passed Ray Allen, and he'll probably in his career get to the 3,000 mark, but Steph Curry is approaching the 4,000 mark and doesn't seem to be slowing down. So there's that element. So why don't we care? I think the issue is it's a record that how would I put it? I actually think we're going to have the same reaction when LeBron is all said and done. Because LeBron's going to retire with maybe 41, 42,000, 43,000, 44. Who knows? He could play forever. And once he retires, we're not going to get too excited when someone enters the 30K club. In fact, Kevin Durant entered the 30K club, of, I think, recently, or someone entered the 30K club recently. And it just is so far away from LeBron's record now that it's got a little less luster. When LeBron entered the 30K club, it was, oh, could he catch Kareem? It's only 8,000 away. But, I think as people who understand numbers, we kind of look at the numbers and we know, oh, that record's impressive because it could keep going. Whereas James Harden took over the second, like he took over Ray Allen, he's not getting first. All he's
Is it?
doing is cementing
But
second for a
but
temporary period of time
this is
here.
the part that I was thinking about when I saw that the record was passed. And Ray Allen's record, if you think back 10, 15 years ago, yeah, felt like a fairly safe record. Yeah, it actually really felt like a fairly safe record. But every record can be beaten, right? That's a reality. Yeah, but it did feel like a fairly safe record. Then the game basically evolved to what it is now. Yeah, it's just crazy, and we just never did this back in the day. Like I could only imagine like if I was in the schoolyard and everyone wanted to shoot threes. Like I don't know, how would that pickup game look like? Because that wasn't how it used to be, right? You'd dump it into the block, you'd attack the paint. It's all about banging it inside the paint sort of thing. Because I guess that's sort of what Shaq did back in the day, and all the bigs did. And we all wish we were 7 footer, in that sort of sense, right? Now we're all like, I wish I was a sharp shooter, right? Doesn't matter what size we are, we got to be a sharp shooter to be able to succeed in a pro league, yeah. And it's a whole evolution of the game. But I think more so, it's that we don't actually have much love for James Harden. Like maybe that's
Yeah,
it too,
so
right? That's the second part that I did pose before earlier,
yeah,
right? It's
this
like
was
we
the
just there's
hardest
no
part of
love
your
for James
question.
Harden though, isn't it? Like, and I don't know, like I'm not really sure why. Like I'll admit I never had a lot of love for Kobe until maybe his last few seasons. But obviously Kobe was always a winner. He was always on the front page, and you could have to respect that the fact that he won. Maybe is that it? Maybe James Harden is not really a winner. Is that why
Well,
we don't?
there's been that debate. I think what's interesting, I actually think there's probably a bigger conversation. So OKC, that trio is really fascinating because that trio, they all have complicated relationships, right? James Harden, you've mentioned, but Russell Westbrook, like people loved him in OKC, but now he's a team hopper and people are like, give it away, dude. Kevin Durant really became unpopular the second he left OKC because he went to Golden State. And James Harden also now is a bit unpopular, but I think I can track the commonality between it. It's when you jump from team to team. That's really in the sense of it, that's where it becomes hard to stick with you after a long period of time. So Chris Paul has a really polarizing personality, and Chris Paul has a lot of teams on his resume. LeBron James was polarizing, and he has a couple of teams on his resume. James Harden is polarizing. He wasn't polarizing in Houston. People loved him in Houston, even though he played that crazy, like 40 points a game season sort of stuff. And everyone was like, oh, he's like a bit of a ball hog, but people loved him. And then he demanded the trade to Brooklyn to team up with KD and Kyrie, and it fell apart. And then he demanded the trade to Philly, and now he's demanded the trade to the Clippers. And I just think that people will stick with you. And I think, maybe there's a bigger conversation about people actually want to root for teams again. I know that sounds odd to say, but like, because there is a sense that the NBA fan is becoming a bit more casual and follows players a bit more, it's hard when players are now averaging, especially the good all NBA players, are averaging like 3 to 4 teams in their career. And you just don't have that same love for them. The reason why Steph Curry will go down as revered is because he won't leave the Golden State Warriors and he has all that success. That's why he's iconic. Dirk Nowitzki is way more popular, I think, because he stayed with one team than he should be. If he tried the team hop and played on like the Spurs and
I
let's
think
say Chicago at the end
I
of his career,
yeah.
I think he would have fallen off a bit more.
I actually like where you're trending here. Maybe to sort of really refine what you're suggesting, and I like the path you're taking here, is so KD won when he went to the Warriors, right? So he's an NBA champion now. Yeah, just like LeBron won when he went to the Heat, and
Hmm.
he's now obviously a multi-time NBA champion too. Maybe think about players like CP3 here, hasn't won yet, and probably won't with the Spurs, let's be clear.
No.
Okay? Let's think about like Westbrook. He hasn't won yet, okay? And probably won't with the Nuggets, currently how they're constructed, yeah? Look, they're competitive, but probably not top four West, potentially. Yeah, who knows? Okay, Jokic is all world, but I don't know what's around him right now in Denver. Okay, and then James Harden is in a similar category, right? He's bounced around a little bit now, and he's yet to win. Maybe that's the part where we look at them as a fan, and maybe I'll use the word a little bit of desperation. Is that what it is? Like, oh, this guy's just trying to just latch on somewhere to. To try and get a W and get that win, that ring, and that win, obviously the wins, and that's the part where it turns us off. Yeah. Whereas if like I'm not that turned off on KD, but he's already established himself as what he is. He's not only is he still a great player, but he's an NBA champion 2 time. Yeah. Okay. And he's done that. Okay. So you can't take away what he's done. Right now, even his KD bounced around another 5 teams, I don't think I'd feel less about him. But I think every team that James Harden goes to next, as we're sort of unpacking this topic, it's sort of like, man, so how many more teams are you going to try? Yeah, that's the thing, right? And I think with CP3, I don't feel so bad about CP3. I'm not so negative about CP3. I don't know about you, okay? Because a lot of his teams bouncing were circumstantial, not in his necessarily in his control. Because he was traded, he was traded, okay, in situations where he was for one reason or another was not what they needed. Yeah, in that sort of sense. He never really. I'm just trying to think. You can correct me if I'm wrong. When did CP3 ever ask to be out of town? I don't think he did.
Potentially
Yeah,
the New Orleans
that
situation
was his
he
first
may have
stop.
asked,
Yeah, that was his first
but
stop. Yeah, literally.
he yeah, so what you're referencing is that he gets traded to the Clippers, and that was a deliberate. We want you, and we think you're going to be good on the team because they saw what Baron Davis and Blake were doing and thought Chris Paul's probably a better fit here. And they were right, and then that fizzles out, and he gets traded to Houston, and I don't think people viewed the Houston trade as positive, but he made it work, and that's his professionalism. And then he gets traded to the Wizards, I believe. No, he doesn't get traded to the Wizards. He gets traded to OKC for Westbrook and makes that work, and then he gets traded
But
to
he didn't say
Phoenix
he didn't
to
say
make
oh,
that work.
he didn't want to leave the Rockets.
No, he is very much. I make the best of the situation I get. In fact, the Spurs are the first team he's chosen to be on in a good while, which is a whole other conversation. But maybe there's a grander scheme here. Who knows? Maybe he wants to slot into coaching straight away when Pop goes down. But I think I just think the team hopping hurts players' legacy. And I know that you don't feel a certain way about Kevin Durant, but I think a lot of people don't value his 2 championships. I think when you talk to LeBron fans, I think most people will happily give him credit for the Cleveland championship, but the other 3 come with a bit of an asterisk. I think you talk to people about Dirk's championship, and that's got this legendary aura behind it. Even Jokic, I don't think Jokic cops as much flack for his championship run as he should because it was quite a weak run. He can only play the teams in front of him, but he didn't play good teams. But he's so good and he took his team to the finals and rah rah. I think that's why James Harden's career is polarizing. I think that's why the records are a bit polarizing. And it's why we don't remember, and it doesn't happen as much anymore, but remember when the threes list used to have J.R. Smith on it, Jason Terry, and Kyle Korver, and all these guys who were role players who bounced from team to team. Obviously, the stars are going to start to take over even the threes category. And yeah, I think there's certain players that it doesn't register to. So I think there's a lot of keys here. There's some records, if you're second in that record, unless you can come first, I don't think the investment's the same. And then if you hop from team to team, we just don't have the same level of respect for you. So it's tricky.